Hello everyone, the topic for today is decimals and fractions. Right now I want you to pause the video so that you can copy down your notes and then resume whenever you're ready to go. First we're going to talk about converting fractions into decimals. There are multiple ways to go about doing this. The first is if you have a denominator that will fit into one of the place values, which are tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. So 4/5, because 5 goes into 10 evenly, we can convert that into 8/10. So that is 8/10. So that first place after the decimal. Next, we have 7/20. Well, 20 goes into 100 evenly, so that becomes 35/100. So as a decimal, that becomes 0.35. Whenever we convert a fraction into a decimal that does not work with that, such as 5/8, we have to do dividing. So we would divide 5 by 8. Most people think that this isn't possible, but this is the reason that we have quarters, nickels, dimes, pennies. So first thing we have to do is place it in the division problem. We add a decimal and a 0. Decimal comes straight up. Now, going back to what we did with dividing with decimals, we're just dividing as usual. Please don't forget, we have 5/8. This top number always goes on the inside. So even if the number on the top is smaller, it still goes on the inside. So we would divide 5 by 8. 8 goes into 50 6 times. Add another 0 and bring it down. 8 goes into 20 2 times. Add another 0, bring it down. 8 goes into 45 times. This method will also work for any type of fraction. So when in doubt, you can just divide and you will get the decimal. For example, if we had 7/20, like we did before, well, 7 divided by 20, add a decimal and a 0, put the decimal up. 20 goes into 70 3 times. Add a 0, bring it down. 20 goes into 105 times. We don't have a remainder. We get 0.35, just like we did before. Now we're going to discuss converting a decimal into a fraction. So the first thing we have to do is look at the number on the far right and find the place value for that number. So we have our example 0.5. The far right number is 5. It is in the tenths place. So there's our 5. It's in the tenths place. So that means that we're going to use 10 as the denominator for our fraction. And that number 5 is going to be the numerator. Next we simplify. That becomes 1/2. We divided both of those by 5. So as a fraction, 0.5 is 1/2. Next example, we have 0.018. That number on the far right is the 8. That is in the thousandths place. So we're going to have 1,000 as our denominator and 18 as our numerator. Then we have to simplify. Well, if we divide both of those by 2, we get 9/500. Now we have a number in front of the decimal, which changes up a little bit, but not too much. So we still have to look at the number on the right, which is 5. So that tells us that our denominator is going to be 100 because it's in the hundreds place. Okay, so we're going to have 75/100 because those are the numbers that are after the decimal. So there's our decimal. In front of the decimal, well, those are going to become the whole numbers. That becomes a mixed number. So we have 1 75/100, which simplifies to 1 3/4. Now I want you to solve these two examples to the best of your ability. Bring your work with you to class, along with any questions.